Hey y'all, my name is Lennox, and in the beginning of this video, I had no idea what I was talking about because I was really rambling for real. But like towards like 2 minutes in, and like to like the rest of the video, I started to figure out what I was talking about. Anyway, I'll plan on making a video like maybe once a week because I don't have time, but maybe depending on how well and how confident I am about posting, I might up that up. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna start off with, and enjoy the video. Today, I want to talk about how I think that people are very, very selfish, right? I'm not trying to be this whatever you call it, like anti-hate everything, but this is what I'm saying. Look at politicians, right? Politicians, a lot of them don't really. I'm gonna say no, like a lot of politicians don't care, but I'm saying that like most of them like either tell white lies or get people, allude to something that's not there, right? To gain votes, to gain popularity, to get what they want. They use people's suffrages, they use people in general just to get what they want, right? And there's people like that who aren't even in political aspects, right? I feel like people day to day, right? Like how you might have a fake friend, right? You might have people who go behind your back and tell other people your business to, or they just thrive off of, because some people do, and that's really important to identify. Some people do just truly thrive off of, seeing people at their worst. And I feel like that's really important to identify, right? The five people who you hang around, I think everybody's heard this, maybe not, but I was taught that like the five people you hang around um are who you basically are, right? You might look like them, you might talk like them, you might start to act like them, your behavior stuff, right? It starts to affect you, right? So I'm not saying this is good or bad, right? But let's say that you just hung around people who are bummy, right? And you've never really been bummy. You might start to talk like them, act like them, maybe look like them, certain things, right? That's just what I was taught. But getting back to my main point, which is, how, people are very selfish. I feel like, or that's like a really bad way to look at it. Not everybody's selfish, but it's just, I feel like it's really important to identify fake people, right? People who don't have your best interests at hearts, right? Like even people who could have been there at your worst, or even your own family, they can't, like, not everyone could be trusted, right? Like you really, really have to guard your energy, who's around you, because you can't ever get that energy back, right? That's why like I kind of came up with this, or not really came up with it, but I started noticing it, right? Like a lot of people who have like, like resting bee faces, right? Like people who just don't look very approachable. When you talk to them, right, and you get to know them, and you let down their guard, right? A lot of them are very genuine and very nice people, right? Like I feel like I feel like people who like this might sound and come across as really bad, but like people who people who look harder on the exterior have a lot more to guard internally than versus somebody you know who's very loose and will give their energy to anybody, right? I feel like I'm not saying that their value, like, on a scale, it's decreased or anything, but I'm saying that it's just that like most people who are just, they don't really like look approachable or something. They have a lot of energy and a lot of things to offer. And it's kind of weird to think about, right? Like some of the most funniest people I've known have, or some of the nicest people I've ever known, like they have a really bad resting bee face, but like they're some of the most chillest people I've ever met. And that's not to say people who give their energy to other people aren't good at stuff, like they don't offer as much as someone who's quieter, but it's just that it's very evident that um or it's very okay, listen, you can tell like a lot about a person, right? by the way that they talk to other people, right? Or even just asking about people in conversation, right? I feel like I feel like you're not your true genuine self if you don't have at least one or two solid people who you know will be there for you, right? Like being the floater friend, right? Like I'm not hating on anybody who's a floater friend because I used to be a floater friend, right? And it really sucked because you realize when you get like it could like let's say you're at school, right? And you're just a floater friend. You could realize like when you get home, you're like, dang, like yes, I got all these friend groups. Yes, I'm cool with all these people, but like they're not cool with me enough to sit down and have play games with me or like talk to me on the phone, right? Like that's what I start to notice, and it's just like I just feel like giving up your energy to people, it's so bad. Like I feel like energy's you know is deserved, right? Like this is gonna be my opinion, right? But like with small talk, like some small talk is really good, but I feel like me myself, like I can't, and this is not even trying to be like egotistical, like oh I won't speak to you because I don't like this, but it's just I feel like sometimes like when conversations are unnecessary, me forcing myself to be a part of it, it kind of brings me down, right? Or it make like I feel tired after that, right? Like there's introverted people, there's extroverted people, right? Like I'm right at that fine line, probably leaning a little bit towards introverted, but I can't just do that. Like going like even okay, let me use this as an example. Like if I go to a football game, I have two groups, right? I hang out with two groups. Me bouncing from both of those is very very tiring, right? I'm dealing with all these different types of energy. Some are happy, some are sad, some are very negative, some are really really positive, right? And I feel like it's really really difficult like in my day to day getting past that. So I couldn't imagine me now being a floater friend and dealing with all different types of energy because I feel like not like everyone's energy is meant for me. And I don't know if that's gonna affect anybody, but for me saying that, but I just feel like you really, really have to be selective on what energy you give. Like how I think about it is time is love, right? The more time you spend with someone, the more you love them, right? Because you're giving up the time that you have on it. Like this is gonna sound really dramatic, but I don't mean it in this way. But like you're giving up time out of either your busy day or just your life in general to give like to spend with another person. To me, that is the definition of love, right? Like a parent taking off their busy work schedule to go watch their child in a basketball game and a soccer game to support their child, like giving them all the time and attention they need. To me, that is the definition of love. And that's the type of love I would love to one day give to my children, right? Which is to be there for them in a sense, right? I think that's really, really beautiful. But going back to the subject where um like fake people and stuff, like I feel like giving up your energy, like not giving up your energy, but it's just like I really think that it's really important for everyone to just guard their energy because then again, you really, really can't get that back. And I feel like I'm talking in circles, so I'm gonna stop soon. But it's just I'm just trying to drive home the fact that you can't ever get that back. Like right, like your energy is your time, giving time for a long period of time, right? Like giving giving your energy for a long period of time to me is love, right? And I don't think this can sound really bad, but hear me out. Like not everyone is worth loving, right? Like some people might really have the good intentions and stuff, but they just they do things that can hurt and harm you, and I feel like you shouldn't be in that situation ever, right? And like I feel like in relationships, right? Like if you're like yes it's really really like it feels good to be loved, right? But if it doesn't feel good to like in a sense, like this is gonna sound really weird, but like if like that love is starting to feel a little more toxic, right? Like you feel like you have to work for it or it's not like, appreciate. That's like conditional love, right? Like you have to give you have to give a part to receive love, right? And I feel like it's just I couldn't ever like I can't put myself through that. I couldn't imagine putting myself through that. That's why I'm spreading this, right? Like I want people to know that like if you feel like you're that floater friend, or if you feel like you're just that person, like you're just so tired every time you just talk to all these people, like you feel like you have to entertain everybody, you really don't. Yes, it's good to have a good social circle, and I'll always preach that, but it's just I feel like not everybody is just meant to just be out, and it's okay. Like, listen, it's okay to be that like that little like that person. Like, I'm not saying that person in the corner, but it is pretty much okay to be that. Like, some people are meant to have a lot of friends, some aren't meant to have a lot of friends. I could go in a deep dive about that, and that's probably going to be my next thing, but not everybody is meant to just, be just social. Like, we're social creatures, but not everybody's meant to just be so social. We stretch out our energy to all these different types of people who I don't even know if they deserve it, right? Anyway, I hope this made sense, and I love you guys, or I love who's ever watching this. Yeah, I love you. And yeah,